All right, welcome back. We have a violent move brewing in the Bitcoin market. Bitmex open interest well above 1 billion. So will it be up or down? We'll take a look at the charts, try to decipher, get an edge on the market. This is Crypto Rolly, the crypto watch that never stops. Live technical analysis, price predictions, and trading. Remember, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Trade at your own risk. All right, so let's take a look at it. Volume's pretty low, down at 850 million right now, possibly because, the market's a little undecided. We don't know, is it going to be up or down, but we know something's coming, so people are getting a little bit nervous. So yeah, the volume has taken a hit, and the weekend is coming in, so we all know on the weekend the volume also drops off. So we could just see a massive manipulated whale move over the weekend or just complete sideways. All right, just some minor losses across the board, but then you have BNB up 8% today. Ethereum has been performing very well. It's up almost 4% over the past 24 hours. We will take a look at Ethereum as well today. Crypto Fear and Greed Index at a 56, so we were at a 61. We dropped off just a little bit. Our Bitcoin reward halving is coming in 94 days. And I wanted to take a look at the Bitmex open interest. We'll start right off the top with this one, okay? So let me slide this over just so everyone can see. This has been a topic. I've even discussed it on my Twitter as well. Basically, when the Bitmex open interest reaches over a billion, it reaches a level that high, you often see a large move, either a long squeeze clearing out all of the longs that have built up, or a short squeeze clearing out all of the shorts. Basically, when the open interest gets that large, you see this large move happen and forces people to close their trades, and then we come back to the normal amount. So you can see so we're right here on the open interest, okay? And the last time we were this high, we were around here. And basically, you could see we were in a downtrend and open interest was growing. So that showed the strength of the bears, that the open interest was growing as the trend was, as we were declining in price, okay? But once we got to this level here, you saw that massive pump, and people were calling it the China pump, or maybe we were just overextended on the Bitmex open interest. So we did see that ridiculous pump to the upside, clearing out all of these shorts, taking out all of their stops, bringing us back down here. So now we kind of had an opposite effect. The price has been rising, and as the price has been rising, the open interest has been rising, showing the strength of the bulls. And this is great to show that, we are in a bullish trend up. However, the open interest is now higher than we were back here. And, in this case, the trend was declining as open interest was rising, and the opposite happened. So the opposite, we cleared out all of the shorts. Well, if the opposite happens here, we'll end up clearing out a lot of longs. This doesn't have to happen. We could just get a ridiculous pump to the upside and a bunch of shorts get cleared out as well. However, I think if there was to be a squeeze, the longs would be squeezed. Just think about how many people have been longing this entire rally up. If they didn't long here, they caught some FOMO, they longed here, maybe they FOMO'd here, maybe they're even FOMOing right now. They're afraid they're going to miss this massive rally to the upside. So I'm sure we've been building lots and lots of longs on this way up. And people have been trying to short this, the entire just stubborn bears trying to short. Every time we move up, they try to short again. But I think there's not as many bears right now. I mean, there's a few, but I'm pretty sure they got stopped out here or here, maybe there's just a few more with some stops above this guy or this guy, but I would say, just looking at how the open interest has risen with the price, that you probably have more longs built up. So we're just hypothetical. I don't know what's going to happen. But if there is a squeeze, I'm thinking that the longs would get more punished in this scenario, okay? So that right there has me a little bit hesitant about which way this price is going to go. Yes, the trend is your friend. So, the trend has been up, so you're more likely to have a successful trade, trading to the upside. But not only do we have this that we're looking at, it's also feeling a bit overextended if we start looking at the RSI and the stochastics and all that. So let's take a look, okay? On top of that, before we break down the Bitcoin chart, let's look at Ethereum real quick, because Ethereum has been leading the market, so to say. It's been outperforming Bitcoin at least. And I mean, it's looking great. We had this horizontal support, flipped resistance here, and it was resistance again. We were able to break out of it, and we broke out very nicely. So what do we do now? Do we come back to test it as support again? That could be a possibility. But let's take a look at our RSI on the Ethereum chart. So you can see right here, let me slide this over. The daily RSI is definitely overextended, overbought clearly on the daily. And on the 12-hour, it's way up here. On the 4-hour, it's pretty ridiculous. So, look at this move. It's just been up, 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 up. It's starting to kind of taper off. Could we get another leg up? Of course, we could just get another leg up, punish some more bears. But, this is also starting to look like a point where people would start FOMOing in, because they're like, damn, I can't miss this move. And usually look at this. Let's just look at from here to here. That's 40%, okay? And that's not even an entire rally. That's just a portion of the rally from $160 to 220. That's 40%. So, and your RSI is just way up here. This is not the ideal place to be jumping into a long. This is the place where people who feel like they've missed out, they're like, okay, I'm going to finally do it. And usually in that scenario, you get wrecked, actually. Like I say, we could get another leg up. But what you want to do is look for entry level maybe down here where your RSI is low, your stochastics are low, and then you ride that train all the way up. You don't want to be jumping in here. So it makes me hesitant to long as well. I feel like a pullback will be coming. Does it happen today or this weekend? Maybe not, but there will be a pullback. And when there's a significant pullback, that would be a better place to place your longs, okay? So let's go back over to Bitcoin. Take a look here. What I can say, super bullish. So let's say that we get a short squeeze. Let's say we just have another pump up. Why would we pump up? Well, we had this horizontal, this green horizontal I have drawn. It was a massive support resistance flip. And not only was it a support resistance flip, but also you can see that's where the top of this weekly candle had our close, okay? Well, so if we're looking at candle bodies and not the wicks, just the candle bodies, not the wicks, we will get a weekly close in about 2 days. If we close at this level or even just above 95.50, you will have a higher high on the weekly with candle bodies. Maybe not a higher high with wicks, but candle bodies sometimes hold heavier weight, I would say, than just a wick, because you can have outrageous movements that create these wicks, but the candle body is more significant. So that would be super bullish. If we close a weekly body above this one, it will be your first higher high and a change in the trend, and possibly that just sets everything off and people are like, wow, okay, bull market here, hit that market buy, and we go for another pump up. Also, we haven't had a blow off top either. If you look, let's go down to the daily. If you look at the daily, we haven't had any outrageous pump to the upside and then a massive wick down. So no blow off top yet, which means that we could also still have room for another leg up here. Where would we be looking for potential areas to the upside? Well, the top of this wick, which I'm sure there'll be some resistance there, people probably pick this area as a place to put your stops above, or they might have buys or sells down in here to protect that area. That's coming in at 99.50. And then the next wick above, which if we do beat this wick above, will be a higher high, including wicks, is coming at 10,350. So 99.50 to 10,350. This could be an area of resistance, but also a possible target. Okay. Also, we had mentioned 10,100. I believe that was if we had drawn a bull flag from here, and we'll take this and drag it to the bottom of the flag, and you had this region here. This is actually overshooting 10,100, but we had looked at 10,100 in previous videos, so I'll just keep that one in mind. But this bull flag is not looking as healthy. It looks, this part of the pole is not as big as this pole. I mean, by end of today, if this closes bullish and we shoot up, then okay, that just negates everything I just said. But otherwise, it's starting to look a little tired. The volume is declining slightly, so this could be an area of a pullback area. Also, you have this potential rising wedge formation forming here as well. You can see a top touch and another touch here, and you have your touches here. So potentially of rising wedge formation to be on the lookout as well. But as long as we maintain 95.50 to 9600, I still feel bullish on the macro, just because this was such an important level in the past. So, I would love to see, okay, say we do pull back to 9600 and we bounce. That will look super bullish. It will look great for the market that we are able to flip this resistance into support, because we haven't had as, that big of a test of it as support yet. So that could be what's in the cards coming up, and we'll just break down our usual 4-hour through the weekly and take a look at it, see what we can see. Let's start out with the 4-hour. We'll go down to the lower time frame, and you can see, it's starting to look like it's going to kind of fall off a cliff possibly, but we haven't closed below the 10 simple on the moving averages. So our blue 10 simple is coming in at 97.58. Our current price is 97.56, but there's still about 3.5 hours left on this 4-hour candle. It held up price here. We even dipped below and then bounced back up. The pressure does look like it's coming downwards, so I would not be surprised to lose this on the next candle. We'll have to see. Your next level of support is going to be 96.23 on the yellow 21 EMA, which would line up with that 9600 horizontal we spoke about. So we come down, and we'll look for a possible bounce in this region. Maybe a dump for liquidity, because we're not seeing enough buying pressure right now. The buying pressure, you can see on the volume, has fallen off. So maybe if we get a dump and there's some major buy orders down here, that will be enough to spring the price back up, okay, for another leg up. And we had been seeing that, in previous price action, we saw that we weren't able to break here, didn't have enough momentum, and we had a bit of a dump off, and then boom, okay? So that could happen again, a little dump off, and then a lot of buy orders are placed in, and we have another leg up, okay? Let's look at the Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands, your support is also 95.89, same area of interest, 95.50 to 9600, and our Ichimoku cloud is our blue conversion line here is 94.98. I can see the pink baseline. It hasn't crossed over yet, but if you do get a cross here, that will be a bearish Kumo cross. When the pink baseline crosses above the blue conversion line, that could be a sign of a pullback, and your green cloud will be down here. Let's take a look at our stochastics. The stochastics have been floating up top and currently coming down, But you can see over here that it's been pretty indecisive. Once we get to the top area, they've been hanging out here, whereas when we've been in the bottom, once we get a cross up from the bottom, they have been more significant. That is because we are in an uptrend, and the cross from the bottom in an uptrend is more indicative of a move, opposed to when you get the cross down from the top when you're in a uptrend. Now, if we were in a downtrend and you got the cross from the top, that would be signaling a big move. Okay, we've talked about that before, how basically in uptrends I'm looking more for the moves coming from down here, and that these are less reliable because you can see they just keep floating at the top. But we do have the cross down on the 4-hour. We'll have to see how that one plays out. Let's move on to the 12-hour. On the 12-hour, the cross did come. We did have a cross up, but if we do get a pullback, this could just end up curling back down again. We do have 12-hour bearish divergence. You can see that you had this top here and then a higher high here. But on our RSI, we have bearish divergence. You had the high here and then a lower high. So now that you have 12-hour bearish divergence, could be another signal of a pullback. Our Ichimoku cloud, your blue conversion line still rising up. We saw that we had a nice bounce off of it down here. We are separated from it, so we could end up coming down to meet it or continue sideways until the two meet again. The blue conversion is 94.76. And our Bollinger Bands, your middle Bollinger Band support, 94.23, meeting resistance here at the top of the band. Our moving averages, again, fairly separated. You have the blue 10 simple coming down at 94, 96, 9500 area. So maybe that's where we find our bounce. Let's go to the daily. On the daily, your blue 10 simple is down here at 94.40. You can see we're putting in a bit of a doji indecision candle as we speak. So we'll have to see how this daily candle plays out. But we do have, the 21 EMAs cross above the pink 10 simple, or so the pink 200 simple. We had our golden cross here. Everything's looking pretty bullish on the macro. I just feel like things have been a bit overextended, on Ethereum. Even Bitcoin, it's having a hard time putting in higher highs on the RSI. In fact, if this is a local top, we're getting bearish divergence on the daily RSI. It's not confirmed top right now because, by the end of the day, if this candle's way up here and the RSI goes higher, there was no bearish divergence. But if this is confirmed as a local top and we get a bit of a pullback, the RSI is getting a lower high here. So we had a higher high on the spot price and a lower high on the RSI. That's going to be bearish divergence, also a signal for a pullback. And you can see we have this trend kind of happening here as well. You have your low, higher low, higher low, higher low, now forming bearish divergence. If this trend line breaks and you start getting lower lows on the RSI, also going to be a signal for a pullback, okay? But your stochastic does have a cross up at just the current price for the time being, is what I wanted to say. Let's close out our moving averages. Let's take a look at our Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands, we did hit the upper band resistance, and you have the middle BB coming up at 9,055. So, if we do get a pullback, I'm looking for 9,600 to hold, okay? But if 9,600 doesn't hold, it won't be the end of the world, okay? You still have this rising trend line coming up here. So this could come into play down the road. We're just going to see you had support here, support here. So we're just going to leave this here because we could end up coming back down to test it. And, let's throw on a Fibonacci real quick just to see what a pullback target would look like. Where are we? Fibonacci. So we'll do from this swing low to this swing high. And your 0.236 is at 9,078. Your 0.382, 85.94. And your 0.618 golden retracement all the way down here at 78.11. And that's also meeting our upper trend line support right around here. Or maybe we end up meeting the upper trend line support here at 8,200. These are just possibilities. We could end up just, shooting to the stars and none of this matters. But if we do start having a pullback, especially if we break below 9,600, I would love to see us maintain this as support. But if we do end up breaking beneath 9,600, you would start looking at these levels for pullbacks, okay? But one level at a time, as I usually say. We'll delete that. And I think we should look at the Ichimoku cloud real quick. See what we see. Again, very separated from our support line, so this could act as a magnet pulling price back down. But we do see that the green cloud on Ichimoku is forming and getting larger and thicker. So we want to see this come up this way, okay? Doesn't look bad, but we are a bit overextended. Looking at the naked chart right here, everything looks good. I do like that we are consolidating above this area of trading, and we just want to see this maintain a support, okay? But you can see a pretty steep line right here, even from this low to this low to this low. It's pretty steep. So, we could end up breaking this and having a bit of a pullback. Maybe that lines up with the long squeeze we talked about with the Bitmex open interest, okay? But just because open interest is super high doesn't mean that anything has to happen. It just means that you should be ready for a big move if it does happen. If you're unsure of what to do, because right now, look, basically I feel like a pullback might be coming. However, the trend is your friend and we're just up and up and up. So I don't really know exactly what to do. At that point, just wait, stay out of the trade, watch the price develop, wait for a better opportunity. Or if you are going to place a trade, just place, maybe something with minimal risk and have your setup, your stop loss, and just stick to your setup. Because if you start flip-flopping back and forth, like, okay, I think, we're going to have a pullback and you're short and you're like, oh, you know what, maybe it's going to go up, and then you flip long and then the price goes down and you flip short, you end up losing more money just switching from short to long to short than you would have had you just let your stop loss hit on your original setup. So when price is indecisive, it can be tricky. People, are unsure of themselves. So like I say, either just wait or pick a trade, minimal risk, stick to it, and see what happens. Not financial advice, just, a suggestion. Okay, let's move on to the weekly. Looking at the weekly, Ichimoku clouds, why not? We're in the middle of the cloud. We did have this bearish Kumo cross right here. You see that the pink baseline is above the blue conversion line. We haven't talked about that in a while, but moving on to the next weekly candles, if this is going to continue bullish, I do want to see this cross back above, okay? But we are in the middle of the cloud. The bottom of the cloud support 86.83, the top of the cloud resistance 10,400. Our Bollinger Bands, we did hit the top resistance band. The top resistance band was coming at 98.76, and our high on this weekly candle Bitstamp chart is 98.78. So it hits your target perfectly. Middle band support at 82.23. So if we do get a pullback and we do drop beneath 9,600, you want to see 8,200 at least hold as support. Maybe we form a bit of a range within this bullish zone on the Bollinger Bands. But if we maintain the bullish zone, I'm bullish as well on the macro, okay? Moving on, our moving averages. So we did get the blue 10 simple crossed over the 50 EMA. That was good to see. The next thing you want to see will be the 10 simple cross above the yellow 21 EMA. But we are maintaining the yellow 21 EMA on the weekly, and that has always been a great signal for bull runs, as you can see in the past. So the next step would have this 10 simple cross back above the yellow 21 EMA. Okay, and your 21 EMA support is coming in at 84.77. Your stochastic still rising nice and healthy. RSI still has room to go. If you get another bullish candle close on the weekly, this could also signal more buyers to come. You know, a nice, so I mean, that just gives more confidence to the bulls, basically, to see another bullish candle. And as we spoke about at the top, that's going to be a higher high if you're looking at the candle bodies. Okay, so I think that's that. We can look at the Heikin Ashi and wrap it up. All right, so let's go to our Heikin Ashi. Whoops. Close that out. The weekly Heikin Ashi is still bullish, still in an uptrend. We'll go down to the 3-day. Still in an uptrend, still bullish. 2-day, bulls. Daily, also still looking good. 12-hour, still good, but starting to get a little bit, this candle here starting to close up a little bit. And the 4-hour, you have a couple bearish ones printing. So on the macro, on the larger time frames, everything is still macro bullish. However, on the lower time frames, we could be looking at a pullback. And if we do get a pullback, we're just going to want to see 95.50 to 9600 hold. If we break below that, we can start talking about deeper targets to the downside, okay? But if we are able to maintain this region up here, I think we'll get another leg up. And you know, the rally continues. Okay, so this is not financial advice. It's never easy predicting the market, but you know, it's always good to be prepared. And this is Crypto Rolly. We'll see you next time.